There's some shows that you need to announce.
I don't really have the details in front of me. Well, hold on a second. We got
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I am your host, Lauren Lepre. Please, boom, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And this week, we're back in the music scene, the Pennsylvania hardcore scene. This guest here is someone I've known close to 30 years now, and we're still looking pretty damn handsome. This guy has been in multiple bands. He has been in bands such as Feeble, Crutch, Box Cutter, and the almighty for the last 20 years, the great Wisdom in Chains. With that, I welcome Mad Joe Oliver. How you doing, buddy?
How are you, my friend?
It's so good to finally have you on this show.
Yeah, we've been trying to do it for a while. I'm glad it worked out tonight so effortlessly.
Yes, it actually did. Yeah, because normally you're like, it's like trying to me, it was, I can describe trying to get you on my show was like getting a stray cat that's never had public affection, throw it in the middle of a football field and go catch it. That's what I felt like trying to get you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm usually, it's hard for me to commit to things because I'm just always torn in a lot of different directions. So, but I'm glad that this worked out.
Yeah, dude, don't worry about it, dude. It's all good. I'm glad to have you on here. But brother, like I said, being you go back a long ways here, I'm sure we're gonna, comb over that. But I guess, and we covered some of this in the Pennsylvania hardcore documentary. But when did you even know you wanted to be in music? And like, did you see yourself even in a band or like as a kid, or is it just something you progressed to?
I used to always fantasize about it as a kid, but like you already know this about me, but like I grew up in a very odd, strict religious household, and I wasn't allowed to really listen to the type of music I wanted. And I remember like making riffs just with my mouth, basically, just making up like riffs and humming them to myself. And I wanted them to sound heavy. And I don't know why, but that's just a sound I was definitely attracted to at an early age. And I definitely loved the idea of heavy music. And like as it was presented to me at different stages in my childhood, I was like magnetically just attracted to this thing, Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of like a gradual into like hardcore and punk specifically. It started with the Ramones, and the first time I heard the Ramones, I was like, that was like one step. Like that step was like concrete. Like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. And then I heard a few more like heavy things, and but when I heard "Sick of It All," that was it. Like I was like, oh, this is the truth. This is what I want to do.
Go jump in. How does someone even hear "Sick of It All"? Was it just a cassette tape, like a friend had it, and you were like, put it on? What's this? Was that how that worked?
Yeah, pretty much. I found a few friends at school that were into punk, and I know Rap Boy.
Yep.
And Rap Boy gave me a ton of tapes as a kid. He gave me the first Biohazard album. He gave me Cro-Mag's Age of Quarrel. He gave me a ton of like brand new bands that just had demos. Judge, Bringing It Down. He gave me just a ton of tapes. He just Life of Agony. Gave me the Life of Agony demo and River Runs Red. Just a ton of tapes that I got from that one.
That was basically your drug dealer into the hardcore thing.
Yeah. And then I had another friend, Chad Pfeiffer, and Chad Pfeiffer gave me another like stack of stuff. It seems like every friend that I made in hardcore would give me like a new angle. You know what I mean? Because in hardcore, there's so many different angles. They all kind of lead back to the same source, but there's a lot of tributaries that you could follow, and with all their own unique histories. So I kind of got blessed with a really good education in the beginning with a lot of different tributaries of hardcore.
Gotcha. You brought up something interesting, saying because I'm full Italian, and my house you didn't swear, you didn't talk back to your parents. We were went to church every Sunday, and I'm just kind of curious because you're probably one of the few people I can actually bring this up. I'm not like I don't denounce religion and spirituality. I welcome it, but I don't live by a book, that's for sure. But as you got into the hardcore scene and progressed, I was attracted to heavy music too, obviously. But did it kind of stay with you as far as like, I guess, keeping a lasso on you a little bit, but in a good way of keeping your anger to a certain point? Because we certainly let it out, but we've also seen a lot of our friends that had no religious or spiritual background sometimes just go so over the edge where they're in jail or worse.
Yeah, no, mine was definitely kept in check. One of the things that I was really lucky with, as I decided I was completely leaving the religion and going into my new life of whatever it's going to be, I knew hardcore was going to be a big part of it. But as I was doing that, I exited the religion with a bunch of friends of mine. Like we all did at the same time, and we all started going to hardcore shows at the same time. So it was a easier transition out of this very strict, very unique lifestyle, very cultish lifestyle.
Wow. Okay.
And it was a very easy transition for me because I had a support system where I already saw myself going anyway. You know what I mean? So it was a lot. Working through the anger takes, a lifetime, really. Working through anger, childhood issues takes a very long time. But I was lucky that I was not alone while I was starting that journey, because I think that's when you can really get yourself into trouble, when you don't have a friend to kind of reel you back in and be like, yeah, dude, you got to calm down. You're getting too out of control. So that was a big part of it. Being angry. If you're not angry, you're not going to be attracted to this kind of music.
Yes.
Because really it speaks to angry people and makes them feel like, okay, this is okay that I'm angry. I think I'm supposed to be right now. It's definitely music that speaks to people that have anger issues. And then hopefully you get into it at 15, 16 years old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the time you're 46, hopefully you're not holding on to that stuff anymore. And you kind of found different outlets and let go of a lot of it,
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I was attracted to the anger and stuff inside and everything, but I wouldn't actually say the religion was holding me back or anything. I was I was picked on a lot, real skinny kid. I was just constantly picked on by jocks and stuff. And that the music spoke to me. And it was funny because for the kid that would walk through the town, I would take the railroad tracks, and I knew every path that if some kids were going to chase me down, I knew where to run. It's funny when I say like I was bullied. I wasn't so much physically bullied. I was fast and got away. But that mentally breaks a child down. And it was funny. I'm home listening to heavy metal, and my wall's full of like, not knocking them, I still love them, but Guns N' Roses, Poison, and anyone you can think of. And one day on Headbangers Ball, which wasn't putting out like the best output of music, somehow Drew Stone's video for Biohazard Punishment comes on. I don't know what happened. I'm like, I belong there. And a voice in my head said, like, dude, you're scared of everybody. And why on earth do you think you could go there? But I did. And I went by myself, and I made everybody It was just the weirdest thing. I just felt like this beam of light, and then quickly your confidence gets built up and all
It
that.
sounds so corny when you describe it to people. Like I've had a very similar story into it. Like it sounds corny and fake, but it's like it really is a calling for a lot of us. It's a calling. Where I don't know why I needed to go into this room. I needed to see what Sick of It All looks like. I needed to feel this energy that I know it's got to be crazy in there, and I need to know. I don't know why, but I just need to know. And then that first time I went into a show, it was just like,
was this the City Garden show?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe, and
so,
that was where you first saw Sick of It All, or did you see somebody else first?
It was Sick of It All. Yeah, that was the first one, and it was just, my mind was blown, and I didn't want to do anything else ever again. Like that was it. I was so completely sold in that moment. So at I guess I was 16 years old, I guess, or 16 or 17, 16, I think. You can't picture the rest of your life. You can't picture anything ever being more important than this moment right now. Like this is it.
Especially then, Mike, because I really thought like we were just gonna be at CC's and Spanky's for like now. Like that was just gonna be it. This is what we did. But you don't realize what life has, like curveballs. Like, wait, clubs closed down? What are you talking about?
Clubs closed down, and people, like it or not, priorities will shift.
Yep,
priorities will absolutely shift. And what's the most important thing in the world one day, and you can't even imagine it ever not being that, it could possibly be ousted by something else more important. It does happen.
But I think it's great as this being part of the human race that you evolve.
Yeah.
You evolve. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look at us still. We're still doing this, but we're probably, obviously, I would probably say you're still hardcore, still your first preference of music. I would tell you mine is not. Now, the best group of people in the world, the brother, sister, or the hardcore, matters more to me. But like music, as you get older, that anger when you walk through the door when you were 17, you can relate. Now you're kind of like, I know you're a family guy. You're putting bread on the table, all that. Like sometimes when those new bands get up there, I think it's great for that generation. But when they get up there and they're 25 and they're mad, I'm kind of a little bit past this. But
so like
you put out a good song, you're still there.
At that age, I fed off of the anger. That was like the fuel.
Yes.
At this age now, I'm just feeding off of the memories
and the love
the love.
Yep.
And the thing that sticks with you if you stay around in hardcore long enough is not anger. It's love of all these connections and friendships you made over the years. That's the thing that stays. That's the thing that will change you. It will evolve you. It will grow you. Like you can't avoid it. So stick around in it. If you can stick around for long enough, you're gonna find that like you're a different person. When you know what I mean. As the years go by, you can't help but kind of soften up a little bit. You know what I mean? As in some areas at least.
Yeah.
If you made a friend out of this music, if you made a friend in this scene, then you probably made a bunch of friends.
Hundreds of, yeah.
It's hard to make one friend only, like in hardcore. If you made a friend, you probably made 20 or 30 friends.
And it's one of those things. I don't see how you didn't, unless you were that face at the hardcore show that you saw every week, but that person stood in the back and didn't say a word. They didn't dance, but they were still in the scene. Like, but there are faces.
Even those people. Yeah. Even those people, man, eventually I could name 5 of them right now. I can literally could name 5 that who were those people who they stood in the back for years and years and years, and then eventually we're all at a diner together, and then we're calling, and then we're meeting up, and then we're doing this and doing that and hanging out outside of shows. So it's unavoidable. You stick around long enough, the love is going to get you.
Yep. I mean, it was honestly, it's one of the most important things that ever happened in my life by far. what was that era, and how quickly we all bonded. Carl, Strength for a Reason, said, and it's this the truth. Some people roll their eyes, some people get it, but it'd be crazy when you'd pull up to the parking lot and there'd be 300 people and 250 people chanted your name. It was like a wrestling entrance when you pulled in the parking lot. It was like, if you weren't there, you just didn't know. But that's really how we all were. It was crazy.
Yeah, and everybody's so excited, and those, it's still like that, where you walk into a show and it takes you an hour to get to the spot you wanted to get to, because you got to talk to this and this and this. And you have so many conversations on the way to wherever you were going, and then when you go to say goodbye, it's the same thing. It's like another hour working your way through the crowd and out the door, and then
there was a Lauren special for the second half. I used to disappear in the middle of the last song because I didn't want to be hung up. I'm going to run to my car because I hate goodbyes too.
Yeah, man,
it's crazy, but that's pretty great. So your first band, let's start breaking them down. So I know you said Sick of It All was your first, and that's when you knew you wanted to be in a band. So what's the first band that forms?
The first band was Feeble, and we literally thought it up on the way home from that first show. Half of us didn't play any instruments, and
that was you. And I know Evan from Wisdom was one of the main guys. I can't picture anybody else in my head, brother. But
yeah. So my older brother Simon,
yeah,
he played bass. He actually took lessons. Like he was learning how to be an actual bass player.
Who also played in Crutch for a while.
He did play in Crutch for a while, yeah.
Yep.
So we had a bass player that was decent, and then we had a drummer that was pretty good, but he didn't think he was good. So, and then other than that, we had to start from scratch. So,
but that's one of the things that makes this scene so freaking good, because you stick up for each other. It's just a bunch of people that want to play, and you pick up the instrument and go nuts for them. Yeah, that's what music was originally for, and I think that's one of the, not just jump at the present time, but one of the things that kind of turns me off a little bit about how precise everybody is. You have to go. Yeah, I kind of love that. Like, I like the grungy. I liked that. Like, even before our time, they would just, get a cassette tape and hit record in the garage, and they'd play the song, and that was it. I was like, that's awesome. That's raw. That's
Yeah. We had to struggle to literally play our instruments, and like me, my throat is my instrument, and I never sang before, in front. I never sang in front of people. I never screamed and yelled before. I didn't know how to use my voice at all. Evan had to learn how to play guitar just to be able to write our first song. Like, he didn't know how to play guitar, so we were literally inventing a style that was unique to this group of four people, and it was not good, but it was really cool for us.
I was at a lot of your shows. I think Feeble was a band that, if you guys really, when that Warped Tour stuff really kicked in the early 2000s, I think if you guys were around then, I think you guys could have went far, because you had a different style. It was more pop, pop punk a little bit even, Yeah,
that was another thing. Like, half of us wanted to sound like Bad Religion, maybe like No Effects or Screeching Weasel. That was Evan's band.
Screeching Weasel. I love that band.
And then the other half of us wanted to sound more like Warzone and Sick of It All and just whatever, like cool, fast hardcore we were listening to at the time.
And I thought that was super cool that you guys tried that, because if you really looked at what we were doing, we were trying to put a flag in the ground, but we really were just mirroring New York hardcore. Everyone wanted to be, and you guys went different. I mean, besides the Warzone thing, but obviously it's a New York hardcore.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, even
in there, I thought that was awesome.
I will say I was not responsible for that. Because I wanted to sound like New York hardcore, but Evan wanted to sound more pop punk and I don't know, accessible, I guess. I wanted to be more angry and abrasive. Evan wanted to be more like no, let's make something that actually sounds like good. and, like, and I was like more like, nah, I want to be like angry. But yeah, it was a good mixture, and we had some cool moments. We definitely had some cool moments, and we definitely had something that was unique for the time. Nobody that we were playing with sounded like us.
No.
Which is like something we, a long time back down the road, we came back to that with Wisdom in Chains, where we're like doing a band that doesn't sound like anybody else.
Yes.
Like it's hard to compare Wisdom in Chains to the bands that we play with. It's very hard. Like, so the advantage of that is that it makes you stand out in a crowd to people that never heard any of these bands.
Yes.
The one that sounds very different is the one that's probably going to be the first one they think of. So that was ended up being a little bit of an advantage back then, and also once we.
I thought it was also very daring because again, we just all wanted to be New York horror. Like we just one thing about our area, for anyone who's checking this out, like that's not from Pennsylvania, that Northeast PA, that Scranton Wilkes. I mean, we were just trying to get recognized. We were trying to grow a scene, and we valued every band that came through.
Man, every single one, every band that came through CC's that wasn't from here, was like a blessing, and we were so excited and happy and proud that they're in our spot, and we wanted to make them feel welcome so that they would come back. Like it was everybody took pride in our spot. Everybody, and it was beautiful, man.
It all did, and I always said the opening band sometimes would steal the show because you'd be sitting there like, I can't wait for Fury to go on. I can't wait for All Out War, and there's like 5 bands. The first band, like, I can't wait. I gotta dance now, and you didn't even know any of the songs, but we were killing each other. Like it's like we had so much energy. We heart this music. It was so important.
Yeah, man, that was great. Those were great times. And when I was playing drums in Strength for a Reason,
their first show, I was there.
we had our practice room in the basement at CC's, so we were at every single show. We were at every show for like whatever stretch of time that was. I didn't miss any show ever, man. Like I was at all of them, and we were dancing and hanging out, and it was just like, it really felt like we had ownership to the scene, like we really, really were the caretakers of it,
Yeah, and like look what came out of there. Look at like the flip of 2000, all the bands that got influenced by Scranton and Wilkes-Barre. Like I always knew what we were doing there was something special. That I think we were putting a flag in the ground? I did not think that, but I valued those days. Like, so they're really fresh in my head still. Like to me, they're like right there. Sometimes I can feel like, when I think of it, I could taste the air, that air inside of CC's, because it was like there was no circulation. So there was a specific taste to that place. Even, you're like,
it's like sweat and old mufflers.
And it was like, when you really look at how Vince and the family was, like, that was just, you'll never see that again. The fact that starting off with, at the door, are you 21? Yeah, the 15-year-old kid. They don't check the ID and they stamp it. Right? Just go to the bar. Like, what? Is this really happening?
Yeah, that's wild, man. And how many times I don't even know how many times I got into a shouting match with his dad at the door because I said, "Oh, I'm on the guest list," and he'd be like, "There's no. What are you talking about? There's no guest." And I'd be like, "I mean, my band practices downstairs. I'm just going downstairs."
And that dude, for as crazy as everybody was, for as crazy as the New York hardcore bands that came in that were like, that violent time, he'd stand right in their path.
Yeah, man, he's a ballsy
old
dude,
man at the time. He didn't care.
He called me a chiseler. That's what he always called me. He'd be like, "You goddamn chiseler."
Yeah. But I remember you'd walk by and he would reach out and grab my wrist, and he would look for the stamp, and I'd be like, "Dude, I walked past you 20 times." He's like, "You all look the same to me," and he'd throw my hand back at my feet.
He was bitter, man. Vince was the opposite, though. He was like, he didn't give a shit about anything. He was so fucking nice.
What club owner, though, really looked out for you, like valued your opinion? Like he'd get a bunch of, especially like me and Johnny Leonardi from RSB, like we'd get there early. He'd be like, come here. These are the bands trying to book here. We think they'll do good. Like he wanted to hear from us.
Yeah.
If they would do good. And I remember sometimes like he would hand us these posters and be kind of these metal bands to be like, they called, they want to play here. And me and John would look, be like, we never heard of them, Vince, and be like, crumble off the phone. I ain't booking them guys. It's like that. It was like we were the jurors.
Yeah.
His loyal people. It was crazy. Of like, I love that. It was the craziest era, and I always loved too. You could do anything you wanted at CC's. You weren't getting thrown out unless you did something so over the top that Vince didn't want you there. But a fight would break out in the floor, and he'd just come in and say, like, what are you doing? You're going to fight? You're going to play? What's going on here? That was his logic to the fights.
I'll never forget, like, calling CC's and getting the voicemail or where he had the message with all the upcoming shows and Vince's voice on there. And he would, once a month, there was always
Thursday, strawberry jam.
Strawberry jam.
Friday the 23rd. All over Crutch and RSB.
Yeah. It'd be like Saturday, Ossuary.
Yeah.
Sunday, strawberry jam.
Everything was slow. Like, you want to leave a message? Do it now. That was how we ended every.
Strawberry Jam played there way too much, man.
I guess they must have drew good.
I don't know anything about them, but I know they were. If you listen to his message of upcoming shows, you would hear Strawberry Jam like 7 times.
And followed by always Monday Graphic Violence. That was the other band.
Graphic Violence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember that, dude. I'm so 717-457-9898. I'll never forget that phone, dude. I'll never forget that phone number.
That's so good, man. That's great.
So
that was wild, man.
Do you have a particular favorite moment at CC's?
Yes, absolutely. E-Town Concrete. It was like a Labor Day show, like end of the summer. Labor Day.
Like one of his Superfests, because that was Memorial Day.
Was it Memorial Day? It might have been Memorial Day.
Yeah, John would have the $5 shows, and when you look at that lineup, that's like a This Is Hardcore lineup. Like,
it was amazing. It was an amazing lineup, and I remember E-Town Concrete. This is when E-Town got the lineup they have now.
Okay,
like the E-Town that went on to be. But we loved E-Town before that, and they had a few different lineup changes. Like their first show ever was at Q's and Quarters in Scranton. Remember that?
Was it their first show ever?
It was their first show.
Okay.
And their first show was with Fury of 5 at Q's and Quarters.
Yeah, because I knew one of their first shows ever. And I remember when they came out, like, I was just like, no, I didn't like it. And then they released a demo tape, and then I got it. I was like, hand it back. And then when the second demo tape came out, and it came out fast, I was like, oh damn. I was like, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the first one was red, and then the second demo was green.
Yes.
And but that they always sounded good. They sounded like very more professional than most bands.
I think Anthony had a vision. He was just like, he had a vision way up front.
When they finally played CC's and they had the 4 dudes that are in the band now, that was the first time everyone heard what E-Town is supposed to sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they opened up with the Knight Rider theme.
Yeah.
Like from the TV show Knight Rider. They played that as their intro, but they played it. They actually played it.
Okay.
And it was like, oh my God, what's happening? Like everybody was so excited. The whole place was buzzing, and they absolutely just tore the roof off of that place. It was so dope. And it was one of those warm nights, and the back doors were open to the sand volleyball court in the back.
We had to close it when the band played, but soon as that shit was over, we air it out. Everybody go outside. Yeah.
So as soon as they opened the doors and everybody came out, everyone was talking about how E-Town blew their mind, and it was like pivotal. It was like a moment, like a real moment of like, holy shit, E-Town they were here and now they're here. It was like everyone noticed it at once. That was an incredible moment that I'm really happy I was there for. And I saw a lot of really cool fights. Some really fun fights that I was glad I witnessed, that were like, in my mind, they were fun, legendary moments, you know what I mean? But probably not proud moments, but it was cool to witness a lot of these fights. Oh, Blood for Blood at CC's, like in like 95, maybe 90. I think it was 95.
Before the CC's run with Blood for Blood, played multiple times. The Nanacoke guys booked them in Nanacoke. I believe that was their first PA show ever.
Oh, really? In Nanacoke, yeah.
West Side, the West Side Park is what it called. I think is that
yeah.
That was the first show they ever played in PA.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they played.
And is that that's when they had the girl in the band, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Check with Chris Nace on that, but I think he's the one that might have booked that even. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's sick. And
they paid for like $100.
We all did back then.
Yeah. And I think you were at that one. I mean, they had a few infamous shows, but you were at those 108 shows, right? At CC's.
Oh my God, that was a crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry I forgot about that one. That was a really cool moment.
There was a couple. Yeah,
when they were playing, I think it was No Spiritual Surrender.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they were playing it for so long, and the crowd was getting so crazy, and the pylon on the stage was so huge that they turned off the lights and the sound and everything, and all you could hear was the drummer and the crowd just screaming the words.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was so cool, man. That was a really cool moment. That was a very cool moment. I'm glad I witnessed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that's the same show where the singer beat someone up with a pool cue, was it? I think it was. I kind of missed that. I kind of
remember that.
Well, yeah, that was another. Yeah.
You remember VOD when the first album came out? The actual album. Like, it was always cool seeing VOD, and then when the day that their album, they hit CC's when their first album came out. That was crazy. That was a good one.
That was VOD. You're right. So that they headlined, and Madball was on that show as well. Crutch was one of the openers. RSB was one of the openers. And the third show ever was Final Stand right here. That was the lineup, the main five. And
shit, man.
Yeah, I remember Vince told me, he's like, I guess what I got coming in. I was like, Vince, I have to open this. I was like, I've been here. Like, he's like, hey, you think you can handle it? It was like my third. Like, I don't know. We're gonna find out. Let's just throw this up there.
Can you handle it, kid?
Yeah. I was like, we'll find out. And again, we were one of the, we didn't last long. I only lasted a year or 9 shows, but it was great. It's, again, feeding off the energy. Everyone was so crazed that no one knew our songs, but the place went nuts. It was like one of my top memories of.
Yeah.
All of us, they couldn't. They just couldn't hold back. All 5 bands, everybody just was on target for dancing. It was crazy.
One of the cool things about CC's is if you did poorly at CC's, it was your own fault. Like, you fucked it up. Like, everyone would give you a chance. There was no like favoritism or anything like that. Like, you had a audience that was going to support you because you were local and you were supporting the thing that we're all like involved in. And then if it didn't work out, it's more than likely something that you dropped the ball with along the way, because you always had a bottom line group of people that would support you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool thing about CC's.
Yeah. So then we got in the early 2000s, I believe you're about 20, 21 years old now, but for Wisdom and Change now, right?
Well, we started the first album that Wisdom and Change recorded was 2001.
Okay.
It was, so 22 years. So Yeah, the first album we recorded was 2001, and then when we did Die Young, that was like real Wisdom in Chains. That was like the first real
So
thing.
yeah, you were finding your niche of how your sound and everything. So
Yeah, at first it was just like a side project, and then when we decided to make it the main thing, that was Die Young. You know?
yes, and that's still one of my favorite albums ever made, not just in hardcore, but just period. But it's right
Thanks.
there. I'll tell you that. But let's go back to that. So at the beginning, it's the side project, and I mean, you and Richie been around long enough. You've all been in other bands. So what's that like trying to even find the sound of what you're going to sound like? I mean, you still feel you want to be heavy, or are you feeling like we've done that? Let's try something different. What's going through your mind?
Well, we had at the time we could have went in a bunch of different directions because we had Crutch. We could have continued Crutch if we wanted to. We
Mhm.
had Box Cutter. We could have continued that if we wanted to. We had this other like kind of a passion project for our drummer Sean Battle. He
Mhm.
wanted to make this band called Divided, and we weren't really too into Divided, but it was like if we wanted to, we could have pursued that band also. Um, we also, uh, me and Richie spent a lot of time with Mushmouth
Yes.
on various albums, so like we could have went into that, and it was just sort of like this. It was, I don't know if we realized it at the time, but it was sort of a transition type of a period in our lives where we were sort of becoming adults,
Hmm.
sort of unavoidable, where we had to kind of we all lived together in this awesome house, and we had a studio in the basement, and we were very um, I wouldn't say we were irresponsible, but we were definitely living the life of like teenagers, you know what I mean? But we were in the bodies of grown ass men now. You know what I mean? And as like our responsibility started to, so like as our responsibility started to pile up and stack up around us, we had to sort of focus on one thing instead of just like being all over the place doing too much stuff. So we just decided Wisdom in Chains had a sound that was unique enough. Um, it was worth putting some effort into it.
Hmm.
The other things were all fun, awesome projects, but this was something that would possibly make us stand out a little bit more. It was definitely a harder road because it was nobody knew what to do with Wisdom and Chains at first.
Hmm.
Nobody knew what to do. They would be like, "It sounds great, but for a live application, like where do we mosh?
Yeah, yeah.
What do we do?" And nobody knew. Like we're playing with at that time. That was like 2004 ish, and everybody was sounding so heavy.
Yeah,
Like
God, that was when Chugga Chugga went full prime on metal and hardcore. It was this.
yeah, it was like Hate Breed. Everybody wanted to sound very much like Hate Breed at
Yep.
the time. So every band that we were playing with, that was like a newer band. If you, I hate using this word, but our competition, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the bands that we're trying to like stand out from, they all sounded very similar to each other, but it was really great music to mosh to.
Hmm.
Very accessible in that way. And so we're playing, and people might dig the way it sounds, but there's nothing to do. Like this is boring live. Like nobody's doing anything. And
Uh-huh.
then finally they started to sing along, passionately sing along, and then it sort of fell into place, and people just kind of figured out what to do to us live. I remember the first time we had like a good sing along reaction was actually in Nanacoke. Um, I can't remember the name of it. It was a pizza place, like a basement of a pizza place in
Okay.
Nanacoke, and this show went really well. And this one song that I thought it was like my favorite of our songs that we were playing at the time, and nobody ever did anything to it. I just enjoyed singing it, and I started singing it, and it looked like everybody was singing. It probably wasn't everybody, but at the time, it looked like everybody was singing this. I was like, holy shit, how do they know these words? And it's like, well, we played a lot of shows, we sold a lot of CDs, and people are starting to click with people. You know what I mean? They're starting to connect with the lyrics. And then it just sort of grew from there, where people understood there is a way to enjoy this music live without just standing here against the wall, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when did you know it was starting to really click? Was it just the Die Young album just kind of got you
Yeah,
where
Die Young did really good. There was like a void where Blood for Blood left a void when they stopped playing shows.
they definitely did?
And we sort of filled that void for a lot of people. And I don't think we sound like Blood for Blood,
No,
but we would always be compared to Blood for Blood, probably just because of the melodic parts and melodic vocals and things. And
well, the vocals is what sells me on hardcore. Always, it wasn't. You got to talk to me. I'm one of them.
yeah,
Even now, the music I listen to, like I'm like a Lou Reed, Leonard Cohen, Nick Cave. I like going deep. Patti Smith, Joni Mitchell. Yeah, talk to me. So when everyone just goes up like, I'm mad, I'm angry, you're like, dude, I got you. But
that only gets you so far. You gotta
far.
show some other range.
Yeah.
So,
It's like going through life, I always said, like, you can't fight everybody, but you don't want to get bulldozed over. So you have to have a balance. And
yeah.
I think that's what wisdom was, because you got, or is, but you got that, but you also go in different directions. And I really related to the Die Young album. And
well, that album is the one that filled that Blood for Blood void for a lot of people. So,
yep.
I don't know, like if they wanted it to always be that vibe of more of an angry vibe, it did change over the years, and it got more upbeat, I would say, and introspective, and less just pure angry.
Mm-hmm.
But in the very beginning, when we got a little bit of a buzz, that's what did it, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So influence wise, through the 90s and stuff, you're getting out and you're touring. And how's the response of you're a PA band, we're trying to grow the scene. Is it just tough times where are people responding well, or are you playing in front of nobody back in those days, or is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's something you got to expect. If people don't know who you are, you have to put yourself in front of them. And a lot of times it's like casting a line out into a pond. Like, you don't know. You want to put that bait in front of somebody, but you might put it in front of an empty club over and over and over again. It's not really, you can't blame yourself. You can't blame your sound. You can't blame your performance. Maybe you were just, nobody knows you're there and they don't know who you are. And why would they come see you if they don't know who you are? Like, there's sometimes you get lucky and you play to a room of people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those people have friends and they loved it so much and they tell their friends, and the next time you come back, there's double the amount.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens sometimes. Sometimes you play to the bartenders because there's nobody else there. And the next time you come back, you're still playing to the bartenders because nobody was there the first time. So there's a lot of the social media made things a lot different, where you can put yourself in front of a lot of people without all of the gas money. You know what I mean? You could put yourself in front of a lot of people if you market yourself cleverly. It's possible now, but it's still a risk, man. So yes, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times back then. And that's sort of what the appeal was for me as a younger man, was the adventure part of it. You have no idea what you're walking into. You have no idea. You just go. Touring before cell phones, before the internet, was the most awesome fucking adventure. It's irreplaceable. Those times and memories are like, you can't duplicate them anymore.
No.
Because some things are made so much more easy and accessible. that the fear of driving into Detroit and trying to locate a neighborhood in Detroit using a series of payphones and trying to find your way to the coldest life house in Detroit using payphones when you've never been to Detroit before is something I will never in my entire life forget. And it's an unbelievable story. When I tell people, it doesn't sound real. It sounds like I'm making up a story, but this is a real thing that I lived through that can't happen anymore. It can't happen. So like I was talking to someone who's 10 years younger than me, which is significant. It's it's not like a lifetime, but it's significant enough that we grew up in different with different technologies. And this person literally accused me of making up stories. And I'm trying to explain to this person, like, no, I swear, I know. I'm telling you my greatest hits. This is my greatest hits, but this is all real. This is the craziest things that ever happened to me. And they are wild, man. There's some crazy stories that just sound like Hollywood stories. Like they sound like something you see in a movie and you would say, yeah, right, that never happens. But at the time, the way life was structured, the way touring was structured, this kind of stuff happens all the time. Crazy shit happens all the time when you have no idea where you're going and who you're going to run into. And those were great. I don't remember what your question was. Those were great times. And the beauty of it was the adventure part of it, where I don't know if it's going to be a good show. I don't know if it's going to be a bad show. I have no idea. But I have nothing else to do. I'm down for an adventure. Let's go.
But even when you're saying about going to Detroit, as you're looking for the coldest live show and stuff, for anyone who went to shows, even if you weren't in a band, because I know this, I'd be driving 90 minutes that way, and I don't know where I am. I kind of think I know. So you're just stopping at like any gas station and be like, you're just like, please. And the guy'd be like, oh yeah, 2 rights and make a left, you're there. And other people are like, yeah. What? Like, what? Get out of here, you freak! I don't know. Like, damn it, yeah. So you're driving around. It's the '90s. You're just looking for backpacks and anybody hanging outside to make. That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah, and it wasn't weird at all to pull into a city and talk to the homeless people and be like, hey, where's this place? Where's that? What street is this? Where, like, the homeless people were a great resource back then of navigation. That was like MapQuest before MapQuest.
There's particularly once 2000 hit, you don't know anymore, but you knew back also you could be in the city or the town early, hours early, and if you saw someone wearing a Floor Punch T-shirt, you knew that you could just go right up and just start talking and oh shit, you're one of us. Like now you look at someone with that shirt and be like, your dad give you that shirt from 20 years ago? Like, it is great. But it was really like a small way, like almost like a motorcycle gang with like when you were branded with a particular band shirt, or even the way you dress, be like, okay, yeah, that's my kind right there, Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, it was just a different type of vibe. Like going to shows now, driving to a city now, you're usually given like some sort of an itinerary, some sort of a, you know what I mean? Like where you got to be, what time you got to be there. This is just like, it's easier. And believe me, I'd rather that. But when I think about the things that we went through to get to this point, I'm really happy for the struggles. You know what I mean? I'm happy for the
you don't trade it.
Got lost.
Yeah, you're glad you learned from it too. But
yeah, you gotta.
yeah, you learn from it. Like I don't really ever want to go into a gas station and ask if I'm in the right direction. I like that my GPS, but at the same time, there's a lot. You know, I can even go back to when I didn't really know anybody and I was kind of a quiet kid. I'd have to go down to the Viewmont Mall and look at flyers on the wall for when the next show is. And then since I don't know everybody, is that a heavy metal flyer? That looks like a death metal, but that could be all. I would just take it and go, and I'd turn up. It's a metal show, and I'd be like, God damn it! I'd walk in and turn around and walk right back out because I didn't know.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. We used to like hand out flyers. Remember that? That was like an art form, handing out flyers, and we would go to the mall and look for anyone who looked like maybe they might possibly enjoy this, but you're not looking for their T-shirt. You're just looking like sizing somebody up and be like, hey, you got anything going on Saturday? We're doing a show at this place in Stroudsburg, and you hand it to a complete stranger. Or like I'll look at somebody's mom and be like, hey, do you have kids by any chance? Because we're doing a show. It's all ages. And just talking to strangers, like you get a lot of confidence. You know what I mean? And a lot of there's lessons from doing these odd things that people don't really do now. You know, there's definitely lessons I learned from it.
Cool. And you have other projects going on right now, right? You have a new project?
Yeah, I started a new project. So me and Jeff Stress Davis and Chuck Treese started this
great
project.
Chuck Treese. Like rad, great guy.
Yeah, man. So we're doing it's a reggae project. It's all reggae.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's really fun. It's good. It's really good. Surprisingly good for me singing reggae music. I had to sort of teach myself how to sing again. I went through some medical issues with my throat. Just before the pandemic, really. It actually started in like the fall of 2020. I started getting these nodes in my throat, and I had to go through a very difficult process to just try to like be able to sing again. And doing this project is actually very good for my voice.
Good. I'm glad that all worked out. Yeah, I'm glad that all worked out.
I can sing a lot smoother. I don't have to scream my head off, and it makes it stronger for when I do end up screaming my head off. I have more of a solid bass, I guess, in my throat. But yeah, it's called Cool Tone Brown, and me, Stress, and Chuck did this. We have 13 songs recorded, and we'll probably release it some point in 2023. Probably by summer, I would say it will be available. And yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Richie has another project that he did a full length of called Z9, and it's really cool. Richie, Evan, and Luke from Wisdom in Chains did an album. It's cool. It's really cool. It's very more like rock and roll style songs.
I like seeing this all stretch out. I think that's great.
It's necessary, man. It becomes, you gotta kind of gain some perspective. At certain points in life, you gotta like kind of take a step back from things and get some new perspective. And then whenever we get around to writing a new Wisdom in Chains album, there's going to be a whole new series of life lessons that I've gone through. You know what I mean? And everybody in the band also. So we'll have something to write about.
All right, brother. We're entering a new segment of the show where I got a small list of questions. It's kind of more of a rapid fire. These are fun. This isn't all just music either. So there's some music, but we're gonna go off the grid here. I think you'll have fun with these.
Okay.
What was your favorite venue to see a show?
CC's.
Okay. Cool. All right. Your favorite venue to play at?
Man, I love the Auto Bar in Baltimore, but I gotta say Reverb in Reading. Sweet. Like I would say Reverb is number one. Auto Bar would be a close second.
Sweet. Favorite country to play in outside the U.S.?
Columbia.
Interesting. Cool. Favorite hardcore band of all time?
Of all time? Oh man, this is such a tough one, man. So it's got to be Sick of It All. It's got to be Sick of It All.
Awesome.
But I keep hitting now as I say it, all these Madball lyrics are popping in my head. I'm like, no, it's Madball. No, but I'll stick to my first choice, Sick of It All. But Madball is a very, very close second.
Awesome. Favorite non-hardcore band?
Man,
A lot to choose from.
I'll tell you like one of my favorite. Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite non-hardcore band, but I'll tell you like one of my favorite albums ever. And if you know that if you're on a desert island, you could pick one album to listen to for eternity. I could pick U2, The Joshua Tree.
It's my favorite album of all time, dude. Right there.
It's a perfect album. It's perfect.
It's gorgeous, and
it's got every single thing that I want in an album.
In 2019, when they did the anniversary tour, me and Chris Nace were there, but we weren't sitting together. We just kind of got single tickets. But they played the album in its entirety, and then they went into like mysterious ways and all that stuff, and they're like, "We're out of here." But yeah, no, dude, I think that's great. That's a bonding moment. Cool. And in your eyes, the band that you hold really high, that's so underrated that people don't talk about.
Underrated. Like the band that should be on Hardcore Mount Rushmore is Killing Time, and I feel like not enough people talk about Killing Time.
That's a good choice. I like it. All right, let's flip it over here. Favorite actor?
Oh my God. Fuck, I don't know. Denzel Washington.
Good choice. Favorite flick of all time?
Probably Godfather.
Good choice. Yes. And what's the one movie, just like we used to do with music, one movie that you go to bat for that everybody might give you the eye about?
This is stupid because it's a huge movie.
Okay.
And a lot of people love this movie already. But I love it on a level that I think most people don't respect it the way that I respect it, as I think this movie is sacred and beautiful.
Go for it.
Forrest Gump.
Who doesn't like that? I don't think.
I think everybody likes it, but I don't think people like it. I always feel like people are like liking it in this like comical way. Almost like it's a fucking comedy. And I'm like, no, this is the greatest
movie about
story.
Life.
It's the greatest story maybe ever told. It's literally like the greatest story ever told.
It's absolutely beautiful from the kid with all because it's got its funny parts. The character has a gigantic arc. You know, he's not a stupid guy. He just does some stupid things. There's funny stuff, but the guy's been in love with one girl his entire life, and he never shies away from it. Then you got his darker stage where, you know, the Vietnam thing. Like that, there's nothing funny about that. That's not comedy in any way, shape, or form. You know, and then he rebounds. And his heart, his entire time, he never lost it. I think it's a absolutely gorgeous movie. I think it's a fantastic choice.
Thank you.
And this is the last question is a curveball. Who's your favorite person out of history who you're constantly like just love to hear about that you can't get enough of?
I love Mike Tyson.
Great one.
If I could have like lunch with somebody, spend some time with somebody and pick their brain, I think it might be Mike Tyson.
Cool. And speaking of Mike Tyson, there was Jay Goldberg, the singer of Bad Luck 13. He does all my tattoos, and this is about, I don't know, 5, maybe even 7 years ago. I was scheduled 6 months ahead. I remember it was a Tuesday at 4:30 to go in to get more work done on my back. And the girl called me 24 hours earlier and said, we've been double booked. You could have this spot, but would you be able to jump to Wednesday at 4:30? And I was like, no big deal. And then when I got there Wednesday at 4:30, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, dude, yesterday, you know, around this time, Mike Tyson came in off the street, and we tattooed him. And I was like, at 4:30. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, like I didn't like Mike would have been there, and I was just like, oh, our face bomb. I was just like,
That's amazing.
How are you supposed to know? You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man. Yeah, like you talk about a character arc.
Yo, gosh,
character arc.
Yep.
And he's still not done evolving. Probably.
No, there's so much. You know what I have to say too about Mike that I love so much, and I saw. I'd say 3/4 of the world were ignorant, but when he fought, last year, Roy Jones, people were like, shit. And I was like, that was beautiful out of both of them, knowing at their age, they're not trying to compete to, win the title back. They're just, if you don't like that, you didn't like Rocky VI, that there was something left in the basement. And I thought that was beautiful seeing that fight. And I just saw a lot of rudeness online, laughing of all these people that both of them can knock out in 2 seconds. Like, shut up.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, no, I think he's just a beautiful, misunderstood man. Yep. And obviously now he's more understood. But to be where he's at, to come from where he came from, and to be where he is right now, even through all of the downs that he's been through since then, it's just incredible that he's able to be who he is today, coming from where he came from. It's fucking awesome. And I admire people like that.
You talk about going from like the outhouse to the penthouse, then to the bottom, and then rising back up again. And I think that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, brother. Thank you. I'm going to thank you so much for coming on. There's some shows that you need to announce.
I don't really have the details in front of me. Well, hold on a second. We got we're playing I know we're doing a punk rock bowling event in Las Vegas in May. I don't have the exact date, but if you're into punk rock bowling, you can look it up easily. We're playing with I know we're playing with Lions Law in Las Vegas in May. And then we have a show in that's confirmed in October called Crash Fest, which is Portland, Oregon. And that's October 22nd. We're playing there. That's a Sunday. But the show itself is Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Portland, Oregon. It's going to be really cool. A lot of bands confirmed so far. It looks like it's going to be a solid lineup. So that's what we have confirmed, though. We're playing Las Vegas and we're playing Portland, Oregon. And then we have a lot of other things that we've been kicking around and talking about and not completely 100% confirmed on, so I don't want to announce them yet. But there's it looks like we're going to have a fairly active year compared to how active we've been in the last couple. So it's exciting. It's January and we're already booking stuff for October. So I'm excited about this year.
I'm excited for you and for you guys to actually get those dates that you're speaking of. I'm pretty sure you can just visit the Facebook page on for Wisdom and Chains and get the actual dates.
There you go. There you go, man.
Bad Joe, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thank you, Lauren, my friend. It's always good to talk to you, man.
Absolutely. And it's the time where I thank everyone who's listening, taking the time to listen to the show. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. And until next week, I will say that the party is over.